Ready, take it away.
Okay. Well, good morning again, everybody. Excited to have another opportunity this week as we move into October. And also before we get going, just want to give our thoughts and prayers to all the people that are still battling, from this storm out there. A lot of people affected, and then awesome to see so many people, rallying together to help. Volunteers and citizens, not to mention all the people with the power company and things like that are working so hard to try to restore some order and some power and basic things to so many people. But easy to lose sight of that. So definitely want all those people out there know we're thinking about them and praying for them. And then as far as this game, again, excited to move into October. We had a good month here at home, and that's great for us. But you got to go take it on the road. And if you're going to have I tell them all the time, good teams win at home, great teams win on the road. You got to be able to, travel your plan to win, and execute when they're not all cheering for you. So we certainly will have that opportunity this week. And Florida State is always a really tough place to play. Their fans do a great job. There's always a ton of energy down there. Certainly, it's Clemson Florida State. A lot of well-documented history with this matchup. It doesn't matter what the records are. I know everybody will. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. There's good players on both sides. Florida State's got a bunch of guys we playing on Sunday, a bunch of them. And, we've got to make sure that we do what we need to do to keep improving our team. And, and then continue to do some of those things that we're doing at a high level. But we got a lot of guys that are just getting better and better every rep, whether it's through good plays or some bad plays that they're making as well. And, so we're excited about the opportunity. Should be a great environment. I know they've got, some questions at quarterback on who's going to play, but regardless of who plays, they're a challenging scheme in what they do. I think they do a lot of things that challenge you, as far as their run design, whether it's the stretch play, the counter, all the play actions, the boots, they million ways that they screen you, a lot of shots, and so that's just kind of how they're very aggressive that way. That's how they're built. So again, good players across the board. We got to be ready regardless of who runs out there, and then defensively, same thing. I mean, those two D tackles are all them guys up front are playing on Sunday. Every single one of them. I mean, they're a great looking, football team when you turn on the tape and you look at the personnel that they have. So big challenge for us. And again, our focus is just trying to keep improving. Try to develop our team now on the road. Because again, if we want to have a great season, we've got to be able to go play well on the road in some adverse situations and overcome some adversity within the game. And so that'll be our objective, try to find a way to win the game and get off to a good start here in October. Any questions? They got a great kicker, great punter. I think they both number one in the nation. So punt returners averaging about 18 yards. I mean, they got weapons everywhere.
I guess what do you have to see from Florida State's Brock Glenn so far in you guys' studies?
You hadn't seen much. I mean, obviously he played the last part of the SMU game, and then you got a chance to see him, the whole game against Louisville, watching the ACC championship game just to get a feel, for that. They had some Wildcat as well. Had some success with number 9 in that ACC championship game. So, I would expect probably some of that as well if they're down a guy at quarterback. So we'll see. But he's a good player. He can make the throws. I mean, he made some nice plays in that championship game, but not a lot of tape. Very limited.
Sir, part of you that's pleased, at least not given the circumstances, but not to have the distraction of Clemson's going to play DJ this week and just the narrative that would come along with
No, that stuff wouldn't. I mean, I'm not. That doesn't have anything. I don't get distracted by that stuff. None of that stuff. It's not Clemson versus DJ. We're playing Florida State. I don't get caught up in all the narratives and all that stuff. Just try to get the team ready to play, and whoever they put out there, that's what we try to do. What do they do, and how do we attack it and defend it? That's all I focus on.
Dabo, you guys haven't lost to a team that had a losing record at the time of the game since 2010.
You trying to speak that into existence? Wow, that's a loaded question.
Let me finish. What does that say about maybe your team's ability not to play down to the level of opponents?
Oh boy. Well, let's ask that after the game. Let's go win the game, and then bring that one back up, and I'll have a great answer for you. I promise you. But I mean, again, we've been I don't think it's just that. We're a consistent program. I mean, we've for a long time. We're not perfect, but we're year in and year out. We're very consistent. And some years have been better than others, but in totality, you don't have stats like that if you don't have a great program, if you don't have great consistency, within what you do. We just try to show up every week and do the best we can, regardless of where we play, when we play, who we play, what time we play. Just really try to create consistency in how we play.
Don't know how much you know about Florida State from the entire season, but how astonished are you that they're where they are, record-wise, considering what they did last year and what they had coming back?
I mean, football's hard. I mean, it's a hard game, and I mean, it really is. And honestly, and y'all have heard me talk about it a lot. I mean, a few plays here or there can really affect the psyche of a team, the confidence of a team, and a couple plays go your way, and next thing you know, it's different because these kids today are growing up with a lot of noise, a lot of pressure, more than at any time ever in football history. When it comes to scrutiny and expectations and criticism and just some negativity, just straight up negativity. And that's hard. It's hard that they have to deal with that. And that can affect teams, and certainly injuries and things like that. And all of a sudden now you can lose your confidence or whatever. But I mean, you can look at a couple of these games and they're right there. And so, I mean, you just have to keep playing, and if you do this long enough, you're going to have a year along the way where you just, I mean, crazy things can happen, but you just got to play the next game. You just got to keep going, and so I mean, I think certainly everybody's surprised of where their record is, but you also got to give the other team some credit. Nobody ever wants to give, like Georgia Tech. That was a heck of a football game. It was a great game. 2 plays, it goes a different way. But it didn't. And Georgia Tech's a really good team. I mean, Boston College, that he's a problem. I mean, is he hurt? Is he out for the year, or is he?
Yeah, I think he'll be back.
Okay. Man, he's a great player. And anytime you got a guy like that on the field, you got a chance. And that's a tough, physical football game. And that guy just was a difference maker for him. Memphis is a really good football team. I mean, and anytime you play good teams, especially if you're not really playing with the type of confidence and things, it can go, the other way. And I think we all see the Cal's pretty good, right? Cal's pretty good. SMU, I mean, they've played good teams. Let's don't just attack Florida State. How about let's give some praise to other teams? That's sometimes, we've had the same thing here. When we lose a game around here, it's like we are just awful. How about let's give the opponent some credit? How about they just made a couple of more plays than we made? Better late than never, David. Just come on, man. Glad to have you. No,
Rough out there, right?
it's rough. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. But it's. I think that's the biggest thing I'd say. I mean, you got to give the opponents some credit, and this is a really, really talented team, and I mean, you can watch in the NFL every Sunday. You got really, really talented teams that, it's a couple plays here or there. Next thing you know, you're 0-4, and it doesn't feel good. But just keep playing.
Dabo, a lot of attention on the success that Cade has had the last 3 games for good reason, but he's been sacked once in those last 3 games. Not a ton under pressure. And when he has been under pressure, he's delivered with some big throws. How much impact has the way that the offensive line has played and kept that pocket clean for him allowed him to sort of take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a part of it, but I think the majority of credit belongs to him, and the work that he put in the offseason and his growth from last year. I mean, he's just a really, really talented football player that sometimes you got to be patient with some guys. Again, not everybody's going to show up and just no assembly required. Just open up the box and it's ready to go. Sometimes you just got to put it together a little bit, but in the end, it's the same thing, right? And he put a ton of work in the offseason in every area. Very self-aware of what he did bad, what he did good, where he needed to grow. But collectively, it all matters. I mean, we're so much more experienced and better up front than we were, at any point last year. Again, Tristan Lee was a first-year starter. He's got a ton of experience now. He's a third-year starter. We got Walker Parks back. Marcus Tate is back, and he was in and out last year. Linthicum has been really, really steady. We have more depth. Colin Sadler now. We'll get him. We hope to get him back this week. And Harris Sewell hadn't played this time last year. Trent, we just have more around him, and then we're just better outside. First of all, we're healthier than we've been in a long time. We're more experienced and better outside. Added a couple of guys. Wesco and TJ have really given us. Brenny's coming off a year where he's been a starter for the first time, and he's more experienced. Maffa is a very established guy, and I think we've added some, like I said, some good pieces. And but the biggest thing is, man, Cade is he's just to this point has taken a good solid step, and there's still more for him. There's a lot more for him. I mean, he'll be the first one to tell you. When we grade him really tough. He's doing a lot of great things, but there's more. There's more, and but the game has just slowed down for him, and that is led to him making some really great decisions, but also some great big play scrambles that have come off of scrambles, and some big play runs where he's been able to elude some pressure, and maybe this time last year would not have done some of that. And he's some of the things that you see this year. Really, we were expecting that last year, but just the game was moving fast. Now again, you saw it. If you really watch us last year, those last 5 games, you saw it all the way to the last drive of the season, and that really, I think, just really ignited that fire for him as far as his confidence and what he could, giving him a clear vision of what he could go do. So I'm proud of him. Garrett's done an awesome job with him, but the guys are really doing a good job up front. I mean, they've given up 1 sack in 4 games. In the OL. The OL has given up 1 sack, and that was a tough one last week. They got a 3-man game, and they got us. That was just a well-executed scheme up front, and we did a good job on the twist game, but they got us on that. So we'll see that again, and we got to do a good job of picking it up. But for the most part, they've held their own, and there's been a couple other places where we've had some quarterback hits, but he's gotten rid of the ball, and he's not taken unnecessary sacks. There were some times last year that he took some sacks where we didn't need to take a sack, like just throw it away, and. That's an area where he's really, it doesn't always show up in the stat line, but he's just managing the game much better. situationally, and even in this game last year, overtime, 3rd and 1, and just situational awareness. We threw the ball out there. I mean, we've been running the ball the whole game, and now you get a TFL and you're whatever in 4th and 3 or whatever it was in overtime. So he's just a more mature player, and again, more for him, and so he just got to keep going, and I'm proud of him, but just got to get him to keep rolling, keep leading like he's doing. He loves it. He's the first guy, and he can't wait to get in here and get started on the next opponent. I love his mindset every week. He's just kind of reset and, hey, let's go again. And if he'll continue to do that, he's going to continue to make good plays. And again, the guys around him are really helping him.
I remember, I guess it was after the ACC championship game a couple of years ago, you saying like, oh, I kind of thought that Cade might take over Notre Dame game or another game. And then you look through last year, and as you just said, I mean, sometimes it was faster for him than you might have expected at the time. Obviously, not everybody gets to be Trevor Lawrence. Was it ever hard for you to sort of stay as patient with him as you needed to be, and how rewarding is it to kind of see the fruits of that patience now?
Yeah, I mean that's just, to me, that's our job as coaches. Is I think you can really hurt kids when you put them out there before they're ready. He wasn't ready as a freshman, and you put him in there, and Georgia Tech game, and at the end of the game he has a good drive in the 4th quarter, and we got to start him the next week. That's these narratives that you get, and DJ gave us the best chance to win. Just very simple. And I mean, he really did. I mean, we don't go to the ACC championship game without DJ that year. We don't. That's just a fact. So, now obviously he kept coming, and then he had a chance in the Notre Dame game. Maybe we had maybe DJ really had 2 bad games here, Pittsburgh and Notre Dame, and you think, well, okay, maybe, but he didn't. And then DJ kind of settled back in, and came back in that game and played well to finish that game, and just kind of, again, gave us the best chance to win. You're trying to win every week. You're not trying to win narrative awards or polls. You're trying to win games, and then obviously the change happened in the ACC championship game, and we went from there. But he still was a young player with a lot of development, and last year as a first-year starter, we had a tough start. And again, I mean, you're talking a double overtime loss, an overtime loss. We lose on a pick 6 one play up at NC State. The Duke game was just, to this day, in 129 years, we've never lost a game like that, with 200. I mean, first time in the history of the school. I mean, there was some crazy things. And so, again, young player, big stage, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of noise, a lot of negativity. And he in particular never really had much football adversity. Kind of everything's kind of going scripted for him, and it's good for him. It's made him better. So you just keep going and keep teaching, and guys develop. I mean, again, we've got this world now where if you're not some great player, right out of the gate, you stink, and it's just. Or coach. If you're not a great coach right out of the gate, you stink. And it's just this terrible mentality that is just woven into our world now, and it's just not reality. There's been a lot of, if it was all about, if a guy's not a great player as a first-year starter, we should make a change. Boy, you missed out on some of the best to ever play in the history of football, right? I mean, it's the developmental game. I mean, you look across the NFL. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. Was he Mr. Irrelevant or something like that? I don't know. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I mean, guys, it's a developmental game. There's a lot to it, but if you're made of the right stuff, you have the skills, and you hang in there, you're going to get better. And Cade's got all the tools, man. He's a very gifted kid. He's a gifted player. He's got high character, high football character, and it's been fun to see. But, that's really the way it should be. I mean, the exception is to come in and be this phenom freshman. That can't be the expectation. That's really more the exception. It can happen. We've seen it happen. But we've also seen Tosh Boyd, a redshirt sophomore, become a first-year starter who left here as the winningest quarterback in school history. I've seen that too. He's a pretty good player. I watch him throw it out there every day and reminds me every day, God, dog, he can throw the ball. So, I mean, you have everything, all different types. But I'm proud of him. I've been proud of him. He's had a good September. We got a long way to go, and he's got a long way to go in his career. And he just needs to keep his head down and stay focused on the task at hand, day in and day out, and he'll be fine. But I'm proud of the work that he's put in.
Dabo, how do you evaluate the pass rush so far this year, just with the front four?
At times it's been really good. It's good to see last week. We had 4 sacks last week. I think that's a season high. We've had some others where we just didn't quite finish, but we've created some pressure. I love how we're turning the ball over. I think that's a reflection of that. I think back-to-back games, we've been, 3 turnovers, and then obviously the 3 stops on downs. But we've mixed our coverage up. We've done some good stuff there. But, still an area that we can be better. T.J. Parker's been a force. Sometimes it doesn't show up in the stats, but it shows up in other places: incompletes, PBUs, turnovers. But a lot of that's because of pressure. Even the one Ricardo Jones had. You got Armand and Ronan right in the guy's face, and that's pressure. Not a sack, but it's pressure. So at times we've been really good, but still a long way to go and more to do.
I think Wes is pressure about normal for him this year compared to?
I think it's kind of. You got to look at how some of our games have gone too. We've had 2 games where we really just played our starters a half, right? And and even this past game they played 3 quarters. So sometimes. The type of game you're in can dictate some of that stuff, can get a little skewed.
How close was Peter on Saturday, and do you think Peter will be able to do more this week?
Peter?
Yeah.
He was close. I think he's right there. So we're hopeful. Today's a big day. Put the pads on today and tomorrow, and we'll see. Just like we did last week, we'll see where he is.
The depth behind him. What's impressed you about how those guys have played?
Yeah, Denhoff's been really solid. He I didn't think he played as well last week. He just kind of lost the ball a couple times on some of that stuff they were doing. But he's been very steady for us, and he'll respond this week. Really, really impressed with Jaheim. I think he's made he's another guy that nobody was going to talk about. If we were talking about what he did as a freshman, we'd have fired him a long time ago because he was 205 pounds or 210 pounds and red shirt. Didn't do much as a red shirt freshman, but here's what he did do. He got in that crock pot and got better. And he did what he needed to do to improve as a football player. And now he's 250 pounds as opposed to 210. And now he can be a complete player. Last year as a redshirt freshman, he was just a situational guy only. And now he's become a complete player. He's really learned. He's put a lot of work in. He's always had a high motor. He plays. He's got really strong hands, but he plays fast. He's got really good instincts for the game. And now that he's physically put himself in a position, you're just seeing his confidence grow. So he's taken a little step for us. I'm encouraged by him, and this has been a real, that's one of those, half empty, half full things, right? It stinks we don't have Peter Woods out there, but boy, it's allowed us to accelerate the growth that we need from Jaheim, from Hoffler, from Denhoff. We've gotten Armand hadn't played much football, so whatever we've been able to get him, I think that's been a positive. For the group, that's gonna pay off for us. But in particular, Jaheim, I think he took a step forward last week, and we just need him to continue to come on. So we're developed, and he's a young player. Hoffler's a sophomore, Jaheim's a sophomore, Armand's a sophomore. Those are young dudes out there. And again, Denhoff, he's been really, really steady. Again, I thought that was probably his worst game last week. but he'll respond.
TJ Moore, I know you were talking about on Sunday that reverted some habits from high school. What are some of those?
Just kind of reverting back to just very basic release technique, and not using all the tools that he's been equipped with. And he can get away with some of that stuff because he's so talented. But in order for him to really kind of take that next step, he's got to apply, the techniques we're equipping him with. And he gets that, and sometimes game's fast. And that's a much bigger role. And sometimes you just, you're just, here's the play. And now we've got to get to the point where we're not worried about the play as much as how do I execute the play. And that's just kind of a step of, taking the game kind of slowing down for him. But he's so natural. I mean, he does everything very natural, and he gets away with some stuff. But, we're in the process of really creating a monster. He's going to be a monster. We just need him to be a little more technically, fundamentally savvy. And so that's what we're in the process of doing. And as he continues to take those steps and becomes a craftsman at what he's doing, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a real problem.
I guess is he really in that mix now, in that top tier? Or is
Absolutely. We got a nice little group. We got some good depth there, and a bunch of guys. All them guys could run out there at any time. I'd sleep good with any of them running out there first. I really would. It's been a while since I could say that. But I mean, I hope we get Stellato back soon as well. He's really was doing some good stuff for us, and Tyler is coming. I think he played maybe 20 snaps or so the other day, and was a little sore on Sunday as expected. But he's, and again, at some point Tyler Brown's going to go off, right? At some point, and we really haven't even had him hardly at all this year. So he's at some point you'll go, oh yeah, I forgot about him. So we got a good little group, and all those guys are competing. We're going to need them all. Again, a long season, and right now we've got good confidence with all of them.
How is Antonio Williams doing?
It's good. It's good.
Is he day-to-day, or is he back practicing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's back. He's back.
Dabo, what has to go right to generate an explosive play at the level at which you guys are doing it right now?
Protection, number one. I think that's the main thing, and then you got to have the right decision making. And then you got to have, the ability to finish the plays. So certainly play design's a part of it, but it all comes down to execution. That's what it comes down to. Being able to protect, being able to influence, and then being able to finish. That's how you get big plays. But it's not that's just the passing game. The run game, same thing. Strain on the back end. Big plays in the run game come when guys strain on the second and third level. So being able to do your job at a high level of intensity on the back end, whether it's running guys off, blocking in space, and then winning at the point of attack. And then obviously you got to have explosive players. That's what it comes down to. We can draw up the greatest plays ever designed, but if it's me out there doing it, I'm gonna catch it, but I'm gonna get tackled. If you got explosive players, you can create explosive plays. Guys that can take it the distance. And then obviously your quarterback's got to have the ability to get it to them.
You're going from a team in Stanford that's one of the best in the country defending the run to a team in Florida State that at times have struggled in that area. Just what is the film showing you in that aspect, and how can Moffitt take advantage of that?
Well, I mean, what the film shows is, guys that have been in position and maybe hadn't made the play, or they've had some guys that just have not had their eyes on the right things, some misfit on some stuff, and some teams that have just been able to win up front, and their backs have broken tackles, been some missed tackles, same things that have created some big plays against us along the way. And then I think it's just there's been some explosives in the run game that have really skewed some stuff for them. But, again, you look at the tape and you go, jeez, Stanford didn't look like that. Stanford, they played hard and they've got some good players, but they didn't look like Florida State. Like them guys that they run out there, you just go, whoa. I mean, at number 5 and number 6, those are, and same thing. I mean, the 11 and 7 on the edge, those guys they're elite, talented guys. You know, so I'm not trying to evaluate Florida State, and I'll let Coach Norvell worry about that. I just know they got good dudes up there that are hard to block, and we've got to play at a high level.
This series is always fun to cover from my perspective. You go back to Dustin Hopkins in 2010.
Oh my gosh.
The 49-37
Yep.
game. What are some of the highlights for you in this series at Doak Campbell? Deshaun replacing Cole there and kind of getting his first extensive action. What are some of your highlights?
Man, I've had a lot of highlights. I've had some lowlights too. I've had a couple of them. But I would say, 04 was my first experience down there. I'd never been down there. You know, we actually beat them here in 03. That's probably why I'm still standing at this podium. I'm probably living in Boise or something if we'd have lost that game that year, and that would not have been good. We won that game, was it 27-10? That's one of my favorite games of all time, man. Derek Hamilton, Kevin Youngblood, Tony Elliott, Aries Curry. Shout out to all them, Chad Jasmine, Charlie Whitehurst. Shout out to all them guys, man, getting it done in that game. And literally, I'm probably not standing here. So that was at home, but 04, going down there for the first time, that was not a good experience. 06 was a great memory because that was the first time we won down there. The fighting Will Proctor's, baby. Shout out Will Proctor, wherever you are on planet Earth. I think he's up in New York, but man, Will Proctor, Chancey Stuckey went off in that game. That was a Chancey Stuckey big game, and a huge win for us. That was cool to be a part of that because I don't know that we had won down there. Maybe if we had, it had been. Well, there you go, a long time. And so this was 2006. So that was a great ride back home. And then 2008. Obviously, we had just got our first win at Boston College, and that was a surreal trip because obviously I'm an interim coach, and Tommy Bowden was the coach. That was a really, I told you, Coach Bowden, he called me the night of the interim, and just was like, hey, all the Bowdens are pulling for you, even though I know we're going to play them in a couple weeks, it was just this weird dynamic. And then I just remember being kind of nervous, like, before the game, to go, you got to go meet Bobby Bowden. And obviously I knew him, but I'd never been in this role. And he was amazing. He was so gracious and just kind. In fact, my mom had come to that game, and she'd gone to dinner that Friday night, and Bobby Bowden was at the same restaurant. I guess he went out to a restaurant on Friday nights or something, but I remember just had a little Will with me. I got a picture in my office of Will and Bobby Bowden and me. And at that point, I had one career win, at Boston College. And it was just this, I literally have a picture in my office, it's just this surreal moment of, again, I don't know if I'm going to be a coach. I don't know if I'm going to be the coach here in 3 weeks, but it was just a really cool moment to we got our butts beat, but we competed. We hit Spiller early, had a couple of nice plays, but we ended up getting beat. I think we hit Mike Palmer on a little throwback tight end screen that we set up well in the red zone down there. I think that was a really nice play, and hit Spiller on the classic wheel route, and he did some good stuff. But we just, they were better than us. But our kids were competing, and we didn't lose a game after that one though. I think we won it. We won all the way. Went 4-2 to finish up the season there. And got the job. But that was, again, a negative outcome on the scoreboard, but one of the moments I'll never forget just because of how he made me feel, in a kind of what could have been an awkward situation. you'd have thought we were just, I mean, it was just, and that's just a credit to who he was. And I think that was probably one of his gifts was he had the ability to just make everybody, feel good. And, that was, again, crazy time, surreal moment for me. And that was a cool memory. 2010 is one of my worst memories, because I vividly can picture Daquan Bowers literally crying in the locker room. We fought so hard, and that was kind of the epitome of that season. That's when we lost, I think 5 games by 6 points or less that year. Just 2 of them in overtime at Auburn, at Florida State, and that kick. Is that guy still kicking?
Yeah, he kicked his weekend for the
Long live Hopkins. Man, that was just, it was good from 70. It was just unbelievable. And we led the entire game. I don't think we ever trailed in the game. Last year we never trailed in the game until overtime. But that was not a good memory. But had a lot of good ones, man. A lot of good ones. Obviously the 16 game down there, Jordan Leggett down in the fourth quarter was awesome. Over on the right side, we were down. We had to rally. That was a big time win. So we've had a lot of great moments for sure. I thought our win down there in 22 was big. Obviously that helped us get to the ACC championship and win the ACC championship. DJ had a great game in that game, as a matter of fact. Hit Davis Allen on the little pitch back throw down the sideline. That was a good one. A lot of good memories, but got some bad ones too. But it's a great series, and Florida State has been a great opponent for a long time.
And I know that you, and I apologize if you've been asked this, I know you and Bobby were close. He came here, spoke to FCA, did breakfast stuff with you, and you have a chance now to, have a record in a field named after Bobby. Would you rather do it somewhere else? Does it matter?
Honestly, if Bobby Bowden could pop down here with his hat on, he'd probably smile. We're both from Birmingham. He went to Woodlawn High. My mom went to Woodlawn High. We were friends. So, I don't know if God blesses us, if that happens, and I think Coach Bowden would be fine. In fact, he kind of claims me. I've got a great letter in my office. He kind of claims me as one of his own. He said, "I hope that doesn't offend you." That's kind of how he wrote the letters. I just see you as one of my own, and so. I think that's one of the greatest compliments that I've ever gotten. And, I've got voicemails from him, even to this day that I've kept where he's, long after he was done playing, that he would just call to encourage me. He's a big letter writer. There's probably a lot of people out there that got some letters from Bobby Bowden. He was a big letter writer. And I got a couple of them framed that just, mean a lot to me that he took the time to encourage me over the years. So, hey, it may happen. I may get the record, but hey, Bobby Bowden, he's still the best.
Take a couple more for Coach.
What have you seen from RJ Daniels in the first 4 games, particularly in that Stanford matchup?
It's like that. Getting better every week. Played his best games, player of the game. He and Barrett Carter are our MVPs of the game. I mean, he played really, really well. I'm proud of him. He's a very good football player. He's very instinctive. He missed a couple tackles early, and again, that's, especially the way football is in today's world, it's just part of the game, especially early on, especially when you don't have preseason games and things like that. But he's been like that. In fact, he'll be a captain for us this week. He's playing really well, really well. Good football player.
There's been some criticism nationally and some locally about Clemson's decision to play that game on Saturday. Have you heard any of that, and kind of what would be your response maybe to someone who asked why Clemson did that? Yeah,
you call President Clements. I trust our leadership here, and honestly, it's one of those decisions as a leader that you make. You're going to get criticism either way. So I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things you can't please everybody. So whatever decision you make, you're probably going to ask the same question. So I think as a leader, you have to just do what you think is best. But I don't make those decisions. I just get the team ready to play. But we've got great leadership in Jim Clements and Graham Neff. So that's it. We call them.
This might be a dually question better, but have you heard anything from FSU about any impact to their stuff, or do they feel pretty good?
I think it's good. I think we're more fortunate than most in that area. So no issues that I know of. Hotel, planes, trains, automobiles. I think everything's a go.
Anybody else for Coach? All right, thank you,
Okay,
Coach.
appreciate it.